Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
Hello friends, and welcome to Fairfield Today. I'm Paul Jackson, your host. Thank you for joining us. Pleasure to be with you as we're in the lobby again. We were gone for several months, and we've been back for several months now because of all the pandemic things that have been going on. We're back in the lobby downtown at Fairfield Federal where we broadcast our show. So we appreciate Fairfield Federal going through that, coming back and allowing us to be on. Second half of the show today, we'll talk to Deb Connell about the Lancaster Festival, or about not the Lancaster Festival, what happened there. It should be an interesting story on some of the decisions she had to make way back when. But our first part of the show today is an event that has been going on for years now, and actually it starts tomorrow on the 4th, and it's Freedom's Never Free. And I've got with me Jeannie Ignash, who's kind of the originator of that, the girl that's kind of put all this together. Jeannie is a girl for years that has been kind of the driving force behind it. And on our far right is Bill Reed. Bill is one of the people that were driven because of Jeannie. No, but there's been a lot of volunteer help, and Bill's one of the people, so we enjoy having him on with us. So COVID-19 hits, and almost everything's canceled, but Freedom Never Free pushes on.
Yes. We push on with a scaled-down version of it.
Sure. Now, again, this being Election Day, the event starts tomorrow. And what exactly, I know every year there is something highlighted, some moment, some event, some folks. What will tomorrow and the next 3 or 4 days be about?
So because of COVID, we're not going to be able to have the USO dance or the appreciation celebration, and that is sad to us. But we have to protect everybody else who's around us. Our veterans are some of the most vulnerable.
Absolutely.
And this is for them, so why would we not? So we're going to escort in the Traveling Korean Memorial tomorrow. It will arrive at the fairgrounds at 4 o'clock. We'll be coming down 33 from the Logan area, and we'll take the Broad Street exit and come straight through to the fairgrounds. At the point that we arrive, we will start setting up the Traveling Korean Memorial and the First Responder Memorial.
So again, you talked about a couple of things that won't be going on. I guess take us through what's going to happen starting tomorrow. You've got the arrival tomorrow, and then as far as I can remember, because of the two events that I'm kind of involved in, is the arrival tomorrow, and then Thursday is the flag ceremony.
The Field of Heroes.
That's on Thursday.
Yes.
Yes.
And so it's the Field of Heroes, posting of the colors. We invite anybody who's sponsored a flag for their hero to join us and post their hero's colors as their names
Has there been as much turnout as in the past, or has the virus affected that some?
We've gotten quite a few more flags sponsored. It's anybody's guess how many people will show, but I know that we'll be there. That's the least that we can do for our veterans, even though we're in the middle of an epidemic.
Yeah. So, Bill, you're involved in this. You're a veteran. Again, thanks for your service. Appreciate what you did for our country. We're glad you were able to serve in that. Where do you kind of fit in this piece? Wherever Jeannie tells you to go?
Right. I'm more labor than
I understand.
Than the organization.
Is this the first year you've been involved in this?
No, this will be the third celebration that I've helped with.
It's in the past two that you were involved with, and again, as Jeannie indicated, maybe a little scaled down because of the virus and everything going on there. But in the past two, they've really been something. They're impressive.
Yeah, the first one was baptism by fire for me, because it was the year we had all 5 memorials set up out there.
I remember that 2 years ago.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, and that was a lot of work.
Yeah, but that was a fabulous one there to see everything, because there's been so many ones. I know I can't even begin to think of the wall and the statues out there. I can't even begin to think of what some of them are. So this year will be a little more scaled down. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just have 2 memorials.
Yeah.
The First Responder, which is a new memorial that we started on last year, And it's going to be situated up by the Ed Sands building by the flag.
Right.
The Korean Memorial, Traveling Korean Memorial, will be down in the grassy area, normally where they have parking for the fairgrounds. And then the Field of Heroes will be in the grassy area along the Columbus Street side.
So, was it a difficult decision to scale it down some? Because I know it's always been with you, it's always about honoring the veterans and first responders, depending on who happened to be in the limelight that year. But, so many things were canceled this year. Was it a tough call to say, let's push through this?
It was a very difficult call for me because I didn't want to cancel anything.
Sure.
And I wanted to wait until like 2 weeks before, which was not realistic. I think we made the call in August to scale it back and not have the dance and the appreciation celebration. And we are going to be asking people that they wear masks, and unless you're with your family, to stay 6 feet apart. We have to make sure that we do right by everybody else. And even the folks with Freedom's Never Free will be wearing masks and honoring the 6 feet apart.
So I guess, Bill, this year it'll be just a little bit different from what we've seen the past couple of years. It'll still be there, but perhaps not the scale that we've seen before.
Right. One thing, we'll have a lot more flags. I think at our last meeting, Karen said we had an order for like 27 additional flags this year. So
Really?
yeah, we're up over 200 flags going to be.
I guess I wouldn't have believed that. I believed that as things got scaled down, perhaps people were cutting back, but apparently not.
No. Our organization, I'm commander of the Military Veterans of Olivedale, and we've had like 4 members pass.
Yeah.
And so we buy flags for our group.
Yeah.
And everybody else, different organizations and family members. You don't have to be deceased to have a flag.
Sure. Yeah, a lot of them aren't. A lot of them aren't there. They're
right.
You can tell by the branch of the service that they were in. They're probably still around. Now, some of them, my grandfather, somebody's grandfather, something like that. You can see that. But you talk about veterans things going on right now. I think back to the Memorial Day parade and that festivity.
Yes.
Big thing to honor military there, canceled. Coming up here in another week, it'd be next week, is Veterans Day. Big cancellation there. I mean, it's just the way things are this year. You have to make some decisions, as Jeannie indicated, some tough ones, but as far as veterans go, at least this will be something that's still going on.
Right.
Yeah.
It's we've always said that the flags are there every year, so we've got to do it.
Yeah. So that's kind of interesting that, as Bill's indicated, maybe more flags this year than perhaps in the past. And you've always had a great, what I think is when that's up and the flags are going there, it's pretty impressive. If you go along Columbus Street right there, drive along there and look over into the fairgrounds, which is where that happens in what would be the parking lot area right there, golly, that's a pretty impressive moment.
I love it. Growing up as a military brat, when we were stationed, well, wherever, and we would go to the base theater, as soon as the curtains would open, everybody would stand up, put your hand on your heart, the national anthem would play, and it always got to me because the flag would be waving on the screen, the full size of the screen. Well, when we came back to the States, and I went to a civilian movie theater, opens up and I stand up, and I'm the only one standing.
And now, fast forward to 2020, things have changed a great deal.
All that breaks my heart. That breaks my heart to see our flag desecrated and disrespected in any way. My dad fought under that flag, and my uncles and my cousins, and unless you've been in the military or been a family member of, there's very few that understand the significance of our flag.
And Bill, you talk about Olivedale. You're the head of each one of the, there's service organizations, and then different organizations around Olivedale the last few years have had their own service out there where they've done some pinning and done some things out there. But who'd ever thought, when you were in the service, again, fast forward to now, and it's a different time, not better,
Right.
just different.
Right. And when I got out, there was no celebrations for veterans.
Yeah.
So it's nice to happen.
Yeah, and again, since we've had the cancellation of Memorial Day, which was a lot of military pomp and circumstance there, and now no Veterans Day in another week, which was certainly all about the military right then. I'm glad you were able to kind of still keep this going, and even though it'll be a scaled down in some areas, you had to make some tough calls, but probably the right calls for that. So Wednesday is the entrance of all the things will be coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday is the flag ceremony, and then what other things are going on?
We're just going to have the memorials up, and the flags will be up through Saturday. It'll all be taken down Saturday night after 6:30, and we can't get done Saturday night. We'll finish up on Sunday.
And as I remember, you keep guards out there. There's lights on all the flags. There's thing going 24/7. There's
right.
nothing crazy going to happen.
No, we're in desperate need of volunteers. So if any of you want to volunteer, please do. They can go to our website, www.freedomsneverfree.com, and under Field of Heroes, you can sign up. You can sponsor a flag. On the website, you can also sign up for guard duty in 1 hour increments, as many 1 hour increments as they want.
It's wide open.
That's right.
And Bill, Olivedale, how many veterans do you have out there in Olivedale right now?
Well, on our roster for our group, there's like 47 names.
Okay.
And before COVID, we usually had about 20 active people. And we had a meeting yesterday, and we had 7 people.
Sure.
So
and that's the
hurt us.
group that's obviously most affected by that. The age of those people that are going to be, the
Yeah.
fact that you're in Olivedale and you're a veteran probably shows you have been in for a while. Did you say, you lost 4 in the last year?
Right.
That would have been announced at Memorial Day
Right.
this year. We would have
Right.
been able to do that. So it's a difficult time right now as we move through this, and I don't know if we're starting a second wave. It's hard to tell where we're going to go, if it's going to get worse before it gets better, but whatever it is, we'll try to hold it together. So things start tomorrow for you, Wednesday, exciting time. It'll still be exciting.
Yes.
I'd like to mention the fact that when you come in the fairgrounds, there'll be signs directing you, and there'll be information signs down through, little snippets about the Korean War, and it's going to be set up where you can either walk through or drive through in your vehicle.
Very good.
So
that's important now with trying to stay social distance. So Bill, thanks for joining us.
You're very welcome.
Jeannie, good luck starting tomorrow for a big week. We know it'll be turned out. We hope the weather will be good and everything will look well for us, and have a nice, even if it's scaled down, a nice ceremony. Thanks for bringing Freedom's Never Free to Lancaster.
Well, as quite a few other folks other than me. So.
Well, you're the face of it, so we'll thank you and you thank
Sorry.
them. Jeannie Ignash and Bill Reed with us here from Freedom's Never Free. We appreciate them joining us. We're back to talk to Deb Connell, Lancaster Festival stuff in just a moment.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our 2 locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Dagger Law has been part of the Lancaster community for more than 110 years. This is where we live and work. You'll see us at festivals, sporting events, and all around town. We consider our clients as friends, and we walk alongside you through challenging times. Whether you're a growing business, a changing family, facing litigation, planning your future, or dealing with land issues, we're right here. We are local. We are trusted. We are experienced. Dagger Law.
Fairfield Medical goes the extra mile to give attention to their patients, to their guests, anybody that comes within those doors.
There's no question that the staff there are all personally invested in seeing that I got the best care possible.
The staff was so comforting. I felt like she was in the best hands.
They basically gave me a second chance at life, and I'm going to make the most of it.
Fairfield Federal. When it comes to our customers and our community, we go above and beyond to help. Our people make the difference.
We were retiring from Tucson, Arizona, and we made a retirement trip out around Ohio, having decided that's where we wanted to be. And we came across this town called Lancaster, and we fell in love with the downtown area where the fountain is and the memorials and the flags and all this stuff. And I looked around and I said, there's our bank right there.
There's something to be said about a community bank in your hometown.
Right. If you live in the community, you should do business in the community as much as possible. So it makes sense to bank with a community bank where you live.
Fairfield Federal is the bank to be at. If you live in this town, or any town actually, you want to bank at a local home bank. And the employees are happy here, they're conversant, customer service is through the roof. There's nothing more you could ask for.
Personal or business banking, whatever you need, we take it seriously because we know you do. Stop by today at any of our 3 locations and see why the difference is clear. Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan specializes in banking that revolves around you.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Thanks and welcome back to Fairfield Today. Paul Jasson. I want to thank the folks at Freedom Never Free for joining us. And again, that's all starting tomorrow, running through close to the weekend here at the Fairgrounds Ed Sands building. Our next guest, as I indicated, was Deb Connell, Executive Director of the Lancaster Festival. And I'm sure at one time the most difficult decision she thought she would ever have to make is if there's a lot of rain. I remember when the Mavericks were going to be here a couple years ago. Was that on your watch?
No, that was
still Ken.
Yeah, that was still Ken.
It was a monsoon, and I've been through tornadoes out there. I've sat through some monstrous days out there, but that seems like light years ago and small potatoes now, because Deb had to make the very difficult decision that this past year's Lancaster Festival had to be canceled. Heartbreaking moment for you, I'm sure.
Absolutely. The most difficult thing. Luckily, we had a very strong board from all walks all over the community, and it just happened to be the right configuration of people to be able to make that decision. It's obvious looking back now that when we canceled, it was absolutely the right thing to do.
When did you make that decision?
We had to make that decision before May the 1st.
Pretty early into this.
Yes, because of the health of the future festival. So by canceling when we did, we saved the festival nearly $400,000 in what would have been non-refundable deposits that we pay out every year to different vendors and performers. And so, we had to look at it as a future health aspect, both of the community and of the festival itself.
So as I look back and I think back at the decisions, I guess I remember when the governor canceled the Arnold up there. I thought that was unbelievable. How can anybody? Well, now that was sort of the beginning of all the dominoes started to fall then, because I think people saw if they can cancel that, perhaps the biggest money moment in all of Columbus is canceled. There's going to be other things fall too, and then eventually it gets to you, and things are still going on.
Right, and I remember the phone call that I got from I don't know if you know Max McGee, who has run the actual OUL site for the festival for 35 years or more. He called me one afternoon, early February, and he said, have you been paying attention to this virus thing? Do you think it's going to affect the festival? And I said, no, I'm sure it'll be under control by the time we roll around. Right after that conversation is when things really started looking bad. Within a month we were putting a plan in place to see, at what parameter is it time to call it. And you're right, that was a big indicator for us when they canceled the Arnold. I thought exactly the same thing. When the Ohio State Fair canceled, we knew that we weren't going to be able to carry forward. Luckily, my board president is Jack Genoso, who's the president of the hospital.
He knew.
So he knew, and he was also able to get me in touch with the right people to get the right information to make that decision. I sat on one of the steering committees for the governor's office for events and entertainment, and I got a lot of other information both from the governor's office and the CDC. We just knew pretty early on that it wasn't going to be something that was going to be viable for the community.
How close was it in terms of, if you march forward, were you a few weeks out in signing contracts or making steps?
We had signed contracts. So the entire festival was already planned. Other than a few little, extra details, everything was planned. And I will tell you this, it is much harder to take apart a festival than it is to put one back together. It's a difficult process to do because it's renegotiating every contract, it's rethinking all of the schedules. I'm just looking forward to 2021.
So now we're fast forward the end of the year here. We're getting ready to move into 2021 in just a couple of months, and I'm sure you're already thinking about the next festival. But I'm sure in the back of your mind you're thinking, no wonder where we'll be, because now there was a time when you thought, well, like you say, 6 months ago, well, this will be over in a month, and now in a couple of months will be a new year, and we'll have to think ahead 6 months.
Right, we absolutely do. And that's what we're doing right now. We're actually planning the festival in 3 complete plans. A regular festival, say Plan A, like we normally see it. A Plan B, which is really the avenue that we think the festival is going to look like for
Perhaps
this year.
Pared down a bit.
Pared down a bit, maybe condensed a little bit. One of the great suggestions, I think, and it came from Gary Sheldon, is, let's hold all of our major events at outdoor venues. So we may see many more concerts at the OUL site, so that we have that distance out there, so that we can space out orchestra members. We're looking at every single aspect to make sure that our guests are completely safe, our musicians are safe, and our volunteers are safe. I would never forgive myself if I put 400 volunteers out there on that field and one of them got sick and lost their lives. I have to think of it in terms of protecting every single person that's out there.
And I have to think now, as you make Plan A, B, or C, or whatever 2021 will call for, you now have the advantage of some hindsight.
Right.
You've seen the worst scenario where Plan D was in, where it's all gone, there's nothing there.
Right.
So now where before, like you say, you didn't have that advantage. You had to do this sort of blind.
Right.
Is it the right call? Well, I don't know. Other people have. Do we do it? Blah, blah, blah. So now at least you have some, and people understand now if things get canceled. I think back then many of us didn't recognize that, or what? How can that be? But now we understand.
It was a shock to the system. It was a shock to the community when we canceled.
Oh my!
There were some very upset people by that cancellation. We can look back at it now and say it was absolutely the right thing to do. Things didn't miraculously get better. You know what? And I'm still hoping that the community does everything that it needs to do in order for us to be able to have a pretty normal looking Lancaster Festival in July of 2021. I miss people as much as everybody else does, but I feel like if we're not following the rules and not gathering and not wearing masks when we can't socially distance, then it's going to cause trouble for us in an even longer term. I want this to be over probably more than anybody else in the community, because I really, really want that 2021 festival to look as normal as we possibly can.
And I just again, it's an advantage. I think now you have that 100% hindsight that you're able to look back on. And maybe this will change how things are done for many years to come in terms of outdoor venues. Maybe that's the way things will look from now on for the immediate future, whatever that is.
Right, we are being very innovative. So what we did is we put together a 2021 planning committee that's made up of not only our board members but other people from the community that should have a voice in it. People from, administrators from the health department, from the EMA. So we've all come together to throw out every single idea that you can think of that we need to consider, because it's sort of a domino effect. If you don't do one portion of something or you restrict something, how does that affect everything else down the line? That planning committee has been very effective in putting ideas together. I really feel like in a few months we will have a plan that is so solid and so safe for the community that we'll 100% be able to do something in person.
Who'd ever thought that you and hundreds, if not thousands, of people in the community would have Larry Hanna on speed dial from the health department? I had Larry on a while back, and this isn't something obviously he relishes. He's more of a behind-the-scenes guy, but he ended up making a lot of decisions that affected other decisions that everybody made, because pretty much what Larry said goes.
Right, and we have to trust the people who know
and we
what
have
they're
great
talking
people.
about. We
like
do
you say,
have
Jack
great people.
Genoso, how good is it to have him on speed dial, and he's involved with you on a day-to-day basis. Nobody knows more than how much they've suffered at the hospital.
Right, absolutely. Tiffany Nash from the health department has been instrumental in trying to help us figure out all of these steps. Even the most simple thing. One of the issues right now is how do we safely have a beer tent? Yeah. I mean, you just think about
every aspect.
Passing money back and forth, and it's as much as protecting the community as it is protecting the people that are working for us.
I have to rethink everything.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. How do I keep artists safe when they come into town?
Staying with families. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. What's the procedure for, if I bring a celebrity into town and they use a green room trailer, what's the procedure for cleaning that trailer when they're gone? Who does that? So there's just, there's a million tiny little details that I hope to have worked out before the beginning of the year.
So even in the best case scenario, then, that let's say we're able to move forward, there will be changes.
There will be changes.
Yeah.
There will be changes. The festival will look different.
Yes.
In some aspects, it may look better to people.
Yes.
We're just being very, very conscious of every single plan.
Deb Connell, who's the executive director of the Lancaster Festival, and one thing I wanted to mention, I was just about to get, I forgot. I wanted to mention, I saw an article, a nice article on you in the paper several weeks ago, well deserved. But a nice article, too, on Eleanor Hood and Barbara Hunziker, who were sort of the genesis, the beginning of this back in the Cameo concert days. Al Romano's name I saw in there. Christian Body, and names that in some cases we'd kind of forgotten about. But these were the people that kind of kept it together, had to face nothing like you faced, but had their own set of challenges back then in getting this word out. And now we fast forward to now. I know the festival is really on the shoulders of those folks.
It is, absolutely. And I'll have to say, Barbara and Eleanor, who are still very involved with the festival, I lean on them all the time. I want to make sure that we don't lose that, the traditions of the festival with all of this new planning. It's very important to me that we preserve what the festival was started to be.
So it was the Cameo concerts.
It was, yes.
Then the Lancaster Festival came out of that.
Yes.
And then the Cameo League is now a next step in that.
Yes, the Cameo League was developed to help support the festival.
Yeah. Well, it's been, 35, 36 years? Would 36 have been the one
36.
We canceled?
Yes, 36 was canceled.
So it's even 37.
It's 37.
37 next year.
It's 37.
And tough decisions, golly, like I say, the toughest one was, do we have to cancel an outdoor thing? Do we have to do this, do that? Now it's a different world.
It is a different world.
Yes.
And we are really looking forward to being together again.
Yeah. Well, best of luck. Everybody wants this to happen. Nobody more than you and your
That's
people
right.
and all the folks in your board. So whatever the COVID-19 2021 festival looks like, we know it'll be great. We just hope it occurs.
Yes.
If it happens, it'll be great. We know that.
It will be. There will be some sort of festival. I promise you
Well,
that.
thanks to all you and all your staff and your volunteers, which are so courageous to go out there and do this. We hope next year, whatever it looks like, it'll be interesting. We
Thank
know
you so
that.
much.
Sure. Deb Connell from the Lancaster Festival with us, and thank you for joining us on Fairfield Today.
Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.